So yeah, I'm going to talk about some AI tools that I've been messing around with for a little while here, and they really kind of not necessarily changed the way I work every day, but they've given me an extra tool that's been really helpful. And I'm pretty excited with how early AI is kind of getting into this space, and it's looking really promising. So yeah, I'll be talking about boosting engineering productivity and how AI can improve mobile software engineering efficiency, how it can automate tasks, predict and prevent errors, and provide recommendations. Also real world examples and benefits and challenges of using AI in the coding workflow. And then this slide I threw in here, this isn't really what this talk is about. It's more just to show, like, this is a slide that was entirely generated using AI. I just gave it a title and said, what would be a good first slide? And this is what the AI spit out. So you can use it for all kinds of things like this.
This current slide?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
So the two tools I'll be spending time talking about, let me share my screen. I just realized I'm not doing that. Sorry, remote people.
You were describing it so well. I can totally understand what's going on.
Yeah, here's the first couple slides. Here's the one that the AI generated. And I'm going to be talking about these two tools here, GitHub Copilot and ChatGPT. I know there's other tools out there, but these are the two that I've spent time with and I am very excited about. So to kick it off, we're going to do a GitHub Copilot demo. And this is going to be mostly in Android, but just know that you can use GitHub Copilot for iOS as well in Swift. It's just not as straightforward. And like with Android, you get an Android Studio plugin and it's baked right in. With Xcode and Swift, you have to jump through a few hoops to be able to use it. But for this, I went to File, New Project, and this is an Android project that is the basic template with nothing in it other than the original like Jetpack Compose greeting that they give you by default. So to start, does anyone have like a public API that they like to use for testing or messing around with code? I know of a couple if no one has one, but
Just use this JSON placeholder one. I can send it. I mean, it's nothing too fancy, but
cool. We can code it against anything, but
Like movie database or something. Like
the public
IMDb.
movie.
Like IMDb, but you need a
Okay.
key, I think.
Do you need a key?
I think you need it.
I
Now, if you do the D&D 5th edition.
okay. I like it. Is that
API,
that's public?
that's public.
No key?
I'm not sure for how long.
Yeah, right.
Okay, let's try it. We'll fall back on a different one if it doesn't work. But basically what I'm going to do here is use GitHub Copilot to build 95% of a simple Android app that uses that API. So we'll kind of start. I'm going to make a file and we'll call it D&D stuff. See if it works with D&D stuff.
DND 5E API.co.
Okay, we'll see if GitHub can get that for us. So the first thing, with GitHub Copilot, there's several ways to work here. You can either start typing a function and it'll fill stuff in, or you can get more descriptive. So I could say fun that gets what's something I can get from the D&D.
You can get, say,
Spells, okay. Write a fun that gets the D&D 5e spell list from the web. Let's say use OKHTTP
Are we already
and
using it?
JSON. What?
Are we already using Copilot right now?
This is Copilot. Yep, Copilot is filling in these comments for us. So I haven't typed to parse JSON yet, that's a Copilot recommendation there. So this is another Copilot recommendation, return a list of spells. Sure, we'll do a list of spells, and then I start typing function here, get spells. Okay, so GitHub Copilot has said that dnd5eapi.co is the proper URL. I don't know if that's right or not, but we are going to try it. So now we have to fill in some blanks here. We know it's looking for a spell. It's looking for OK HTTP client. We don't have that yet. We don't have JSON. So we're going to jump over to our dependencies and we're going to say, give me JSON. Okay, there's JSON. You'll notice here it's in yellow. That's because GitHub Copilot doesn't really know the latest version, but Android Studio does. So we'll just change that to the latest version. And we're going to ask it for OK HTTP. And it's going to spit that out for us. We'll change that to the latest version. So all of that is Copilot recommendations. Typically, if you're going to want to depend on JSON, you're going to have to open a browser and search for JSON and see what the package is and what version it is and all that stuff. But Copilot makes that pretty easy. So we'll have to do a Gradle sync. If I can move my Zoom controls out of the way. All right, so that sync is going to bring in our dependencies so we can just import them. JSON. So now you'll notice that this is returning a list of spells, which is spell list dot results. So we're going to start typing a data class of spell list. Copilot's going to say, okay, here's a spell list, here's the results. It's a list of spell, but we don't have spell yet. So let's get a spell as well. And Copilot's going to suggest a name and a URL. We'll see if that is accurate or not eventually. I'm going to make this a suspend phone. Actually, let me cut this. I'm going to see if I can get this a little bit better with comments here. Let's say this should be on dispatchers.io. Let's see if it'll do that for us. It's not going to. It's not perfect, but we can make this on dispatchers.io pretty quickly. And it did give us that suggestion there, so. All right, so we've got our get spells. We'll do with context there. So this looks pretty good. It looks like we should be able to call this function and actually get some spells back from the URL. But let's take a look at some other things we can do here. So let's say write a test for get spells. And we'll say network should be mocked. Okay. Didn't do quite as good as I've seen it do in the past, but let's try. What if I do at test first? Not great there either, but it can scaffold out tests. While I was messing around with this, I had it generate a full test for calling an API using Mockito to mock the network request, and it looked great. I could probably spend some time and like add some more comments and get it to do it, but there's a balance there of like, I don't want to spend all my time writing comments trying to get GitHub Actions or GitHub Copilot to work for me, but it can do that. It can also like scaffold mock data. So I could say like val mock spell list equals. And we will give it a second here. Sometimes it's a little bit slow, but now we have Copilot spitting out a list of different spells, and it's pretty smart about them too. Like we've got acid splash, chill touch, we've got links to the probably proper URLs. Let's see what one of these is. So we've got acid splash here. Let's see if this is really acid splash. Error not found. That's not a good sign.
Wait. Did you copy the one? Oh, yeah, you did. Okay, never
I
mind.
think so. Let me see what if this is a real. Okay, we've got data, so it's on the right track at least. But yeah, it's really useful for generating like fake data for tests and stuff like that. So we've got this. Let's go over to our main activity. We don't care about this default stuff in here. Let's see. So let's see if it'll generate us a composable here. Okay, it's recommending at composable. One spell, perfect. So it's got some text with spell.name. So this composable should display a spell's name. Let's see if it'll make us a list of these. Composable. Okay, so takes a spell list, but it's not using our other composable, so we'll just make it call spell with, actually, we're gonna need to make a few changes here. We'll just do a column. We don't have to be efficient on this for now. Make it easy. And we'll do, see, spells dot, here we go. So here's a pretty good recommendation from Copilot. We're doing spells dot for each, and we're gonna spit out a text for each spell. Can you guys see okay up there?
Mhm.
Let's zoom in a little bit. Maybe.
That'd be spell the composable one. One we already made.
What?
Well, I mean, wouldn't you?
Want to use your other composable spell composer?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. Spell. And yep, we can do that. I don't know what that's complaining about. We'll ignore that for now. Okay, so we got our set content up here. We're gonna grab the actual spell list now. So let's grab some state to store it. It's gonna be var state equals. Actually, we'll do remember. So writing a little code without compose right now. Here's a compose recommendation. This is going to be state of spell. Actually, this is a state of list of spell. Have it start out as an empty list. Get our imports here. Okay, so we got, remember, let's actually call our function now. So I'm just going to do lifecycle scope down launch, fine, launch when created, and state equals get spells. What is this complaining about? Fix my imports. There we go. Okay, so we've got some state that will hold the list of spells, and we're calling get spells, setting it to the state. So down here, we don't care about anything else that's placed by default. We're just going to do spell list state. I still don't know what's wrong with my spell list down here. So, we're just going to name it spell list C for now to avoid the conflict. Okay, so now we have Jetpack Compose with composable with the spell list in place. If we run this now, this is not going to work. This is not going to work because we have not declared our internet permission yet. So we'll see if Compose can help us with that. Give it a second.
You mean Copilot?
Yes,
Okay.
Copilot. Okay, Copilot's too slow right now. It will help you with that though, typically, but we're not going to wait for it right now. So now we got our internet permission. So let's run this and see what happens, see what errors we get here. Okay, my emulator is restarting. Try this again. There it is. So we got acid arrow, acid splash, aid, alarm, a whole bunch of D&D 5e spells.
Yeah, there are 300 and some spells in there, so
Yep.
in my SRD. It's not the complete list, it's just the stuff that they made open.
Yeah. Nice. So yeah, we are probably getting every single one of them and spitting them out in a non-scrollable column here, which is not something you'd really want to do. But point is GitHub Copilot did pretty much all of that, and you can expand on that.
13 minutes.
13 minutes. Cool. Let's see. Let's have Copilot. Actually, it's recommending a preview. That's exactly what I was going to do. So preview, composable, default preview, spell list, empty list. Not a super helpful preview. Let's see if it'll give us some data. There's spell. Let's see. Spell list equals. Here we go. This is better. So generating some fake data for our compose preview here. And once Android Studio catches up here, sometimes this is very slow and hit or miss, but a Jetpack Compose preview is just like a quick way to see what your composable looks like in the editor here. So you can see Fireball, Magic Missile, Lightning Bolt is the mock data that it generated for a preview here. Let me switch back and make sure I didn't skip anything I wanted to talk about for this. Looks like I got it. Any questions on Copilot before we move forward?
Not worried about my job yet.
Like how far you can get.
Yeah, it's going to keep getting better and better, but I don't think of it as like you still have to know what you're doing
Well, obviously.
to wrangle it and make it work, but like
So far.
all of that stuff is code that I don't have to type, and it's not always going to be correct. So you have to make sure it's good and
Right.
stuff like that. But
I don't think your field's going anywhere, but from like a business. Like I ran business before, like I can see 27 staff going to 16.
Why? Why?
Because I don't know.
Oh, I see.
See, we got you this thing. Let's have a job for you.
It's,
That's unfamiliar.
yeah, it
Yeah.
does. It's back to the whole Xamarin.
Well, cool. We will move on to GPT. This tool just like blows my mind. And if a tool is going to take my job, I'd be more worried about ChatGPT than Copilot, although they're both by open API, but don't use like the same backing stuff. They're a little bit different, but so GPT is pretty incredible. So let's find some code. I'm just going to take this whole main activity and we're going to paste it into ChatGPT. If I can talk with that, that's hard to say. ChatGPT. GPS.
Some marketers to help.
Yeah. Cool. So we are going to go to chat.openapi/chat.
It's at capacity right now.
Okay. We might not be able to do this right now. We will see. It's going to show that it's really good at. So how can I improve this code? You can ask it like improve its efficiency, where are the bugs in this code, like any of that kind of stuff is really good at identifying. Explaining code, like if you have some really complex code and you don't want to take the time to read it all, you can say ChatGPT, explain this code, and it will give you a really good summary. You can use it for language conversions. So if you're converting Java to Kotlin or Objective-C to Swift, it's really good at that. And like it'll spit something pretty good out at the start, and then you can iterate on it. You can say like make it do this instead, or make it more efficient, make it less nested, like any of that stuff you can have it do. That kind of gets into the next one, simplify complex code. I had an example that was a Christmas tree of nested if statements, and said ChatGPT simplify this, and it made it all more linear and just much easier to read. It's really good at writing test cases. Like I said, finding bugs. It's also super good at generating mock data and classes. I was really impressed the other day. I pasted a GraphQL query in there and asked for mock data that could be a response from it, and it was perfect. I used it in a test, and it was exactly what I needed. Which is it's crazy because it spits it right out. And I could spend 20 minutes writing up a giant GraphQL response mock data. It's fast.
Good idea to test how to test them.
Yeah.
Be a shortcut for me in some things I'm working.
Yeah.
I was impressed the other day when you showed me, because like you said, it can refine stuff further. It's a lot more conversational than I thought it would be at first blush. Because we said, make a view that shows these things, and then it spat it out. I said, oh, but that property should be a binding. And it's like, here it is again with the binding, and here's the initializer report. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's. So you just keep like refining, you say, no, but I want this to be like that. And it just keeps going.
Yeah.
That was sweet.
I had a full conversation with it about Dagger 2 today, because I am terrible at Dagger 2, and it was super helpful for me to get better at Dagger 2 and remember how to use it. It like we were talking, it's really good at writing self-reviews and like generating emails. Like I had it generate a motivational email to a team, and it's crazy. And the same thing there, you can iterate on it. So I asked it to say, okay, this is now Snoop Dogg writing the email, and it was like wrapping an email. Like it's crazy. All right, so I asked it how I can improve the code, and it didn't really find anything wrong with it, but I'm going to follow up and ask, because I asked what's wrong. Now I'm asking how can I improve.
Can you share your screen again, Jordan?
Yes, thank you. Yep, so now I asked it how to improve, saying I could add proper air handling because none is included. Could add some tests. Memory management using remember. Proper cleaning up of resources. I may have done some of that.
Not memory statistics. And it doesn't make some access to the internet. Does it have like a whole server building or top of? If it's not accessing the web?
I don't know. Saying I could have better naming, extracting and reusing functions and performance tuning. So nothing too great there, but let's find some code that actually has some real issues. Which is this function here. This is a suspend function that has a pretty common gotcha in coroutines. If you try catch outside of this coroutine, it's not actually going to hit. It's going to throw an exception, and that's going to not hit this catch block. I could put that try catch inside this launch or add an exception handler to it to make it actually catch it. But let's see if ChatGPT can identify that. Yep, there it is. So you can see there's an exception being thrown in the coroutine and caught in their sounding block. This should prevent the exception from crashing the app and be handled by the code. Which is important to notice this in the coroutine scope. That's not as good of an answer as I got last time, but I suppose it's identifying what I wanted it to. See if it can do that. Yeah, it didn't get it that time. We'll blame it on the system being down.
Rephrase it,
Maybe.
please demonstrate the fix. Or fix, please demonstrate fixing it.
Yeah. So it kind of was in the right direction, but didn't give a great fix. So let's we'll move on to another one. Let's say explain this code. So let's go. Okay, I lost my repo. Here we go. Here is a very ugly functional asset to document that. Okay, so it's saying what it takes in and what it returns. We'll ask it to explain it to you. Yeah, please note it might not be working as expected. But let's ask it to explain. Yeah, it kind of just spits out what it does.
This is kind of funny. Just reminds me of me trying to tell someone else
Yeah,
what my code is doing.
it just puts it into English. So let's say, how can we improve it because it's contextually aware, so it should know that we're talking about that function.
There you go, Ryan, number 1.
Better variable, meaningful
That's important.
conditionals. Break it up into smaller functions. Check if all properties are used correctly. Better method of concatenating strings. Saying it's more efficient to use a string builder.
That's cool.
Can you give me a simplified version?
Is that true?
What did you say?
I think it just removed a bunch of the functionality.
It returned to 1.
I guess it's
condition.
simpler. All right,
This
let's,
is the simplified version.
yeah, I guess.
Jordan, you gotta work on your code, man. 1-liner.
You get to view very literally.
Huh?
Let's
You
try
get
it.
to view very
Try
literally.
this. I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is
Can you
better.
Take out like a chunk.
So I asked it to reduce the amount of nesting. And now this is a little better. Because it's actually keeping the functionality.
That's ugly still.
Yeah, it's a terrible function, but less nested function. This is better.
Could you ask it to make it look pretty
Sure.
or optimize it?
Yes.
I was
So, no, like the first 3, 4 questions you guys asked, I really was expecting a Boolean, like, yes, no, yes, I can.
Yeah.
That's it, like,
Okay, so it's
Condensed that last if
a
statement.
bit better still. Do what?
It condensed that last if statement into a single one, like a compound.
I don't know. I would still want tests to, because you don't know. You have to go through and you have to make sure it's doing the functionality still. You know, sorry, I'm just.
Well, we'll get some tests too. Yeah, it looks like it's generating some legit test cases here.
Fix this one.
This could actually be really useful, like
Yeah.
generating test cases for
Yeah.
it, but
Because everybody hates writing tests.
yeah.
I wouldn't hate writing tests as much if we didn't have other stupid stuff like we just talked about the other day, Jordan. Like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
conflicting libraries and imports.
It's cool that it's writing those tests. It's aware of not only like the shape of the method themselves, but also like it knows about the conditions that would matter internally, like if it's more than 100. So it's like,
Yeah.
here's the test case where we do trip that. Here's the test case where we don't. Like that is pretty slick. I would make use that.
All right, so I'm gonna paste in a GraphQL request and ask it to generate some mock data. This is a very simple fake GraphQL request, but I've pasted a giant one in there before and it gave me some awesome data. But yeah, it looks like it did pretty good with that. We've got ID, username, first name, avatar. And that can be iterated on as well here. Let's see. Let's try the annual review one. Here you go, Ryan. You got until Friday to do this.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's really good at stuff like this.
Has had an amazing year. Lovely.
Consistently demonstrated strong technical abilities as an Android engineer.
I can just imagine all the HR people freaking out right now, this is horrible.
It's just nothing specific. You have to like add like examples. But yeah, this is a good template.
I gotta say that in improving, you don't have annual, reviews anymore.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's pretty nice. You have one-on-one, but you don't have to deal with this. However,
yeah.
that doesn't mean that when you're working with your client, you still have to deal with it, depending on the client, so, sure.
So this is where it gets really fun. What if this was written by Snoop Dogg?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's it. It said Snoop Dogg is a rapper, not an Android developer, so it's not applicable.
Well, you need to say, but what? Let's say, what if you did it, said, put this
Yeah.
in the tone of Snoop Dogg.
There it is.
Well, I killed it. It's an Android engineer.
I'm talking about getting jiggy with the Java and Kotlin.
Yeah,
Oh my.
Can you send this
But
to
it
your
doesn't
save
have
this?
it doesn't have access
Send
to
it.
the internet, so
you want me to
I
send it?
doesn't know how Snoop Dogg speaks unless it
It
has.
was trained on
It has
it.
Yeah.
data like ready on how everything everywhere works.
That's a really good question. It obviously has some information there.
But maybe they
Every-
just seeded the model with that, right?
On everything,
I
everywhere.
don't know how to spell that. That's awesome.
Shakespeare.
It's
Yeah,
that guy who wants more cowbell.
Oh, Christopher Walken.
Yeah, you gotta do it like Christopher Walken.
yeah,
They're making it rhyme too.
yeah,
It's
it's
important.
crazy.
Amazing.
You're great.
Put it in the
endeavor.
form of a sonnet.
As an Android engineer, I did prosper
Write it in
My
iambic
skills.
pentameter.
in Java and Kotlin, sharper than a sword.
My Java and Kotlin sharper than a sword. A misstep did occur.
A grave error.
Why don't
A
you tell
data breach by my own.
tell it to translate it to Dothraki or something?
I had no idea.
Klingon.
Yeah.
High elf.
Klingon. High elf. Oh my gosh.
Quenya.
I think translating was the wrong way.
I don't know if they have the font for High Elven script.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I bet they do.
You guys can try.
Just ask for wingdings.
Greek?
Wing teams.
I like that. A data breach by mine own hand.
And tell it.
Yeah, what
Then
did
play
they
the
breach?
assisting me.
Oh,
And
man.
just shut up.
Ask it to do it using the Quenya font.
What's that? How do you spell that?
Quenya, I think.
That's not good.
This one might take a while. It's going pretty slow.
Yes.
Yeah, still running through Google Translate.
I think it's correct. It has commas in the right place.
Is it?
Well, slow, so I know. Shut up, man. You guys want like extra language degrees, just. You want to do it now.
Yeah, that's a use case I saw as people using it to learn different languages. Yeah, that's another cool thing is like you can use it to practice interviews.
I have much education.
Such wow.
Yes. Just repeated it.
You're training the model, so it wants legit information
Yeah.
right now.
Don't lie or I'll know.
Give it your social. Blood sample. It's getting too real. Now open up another window with a different chat GPT bot and have it generate the answer. Just watch the difference.
That's interesting. Gives you a coding challenge.
It displays a list of items.
Yeah.
Even gives examples of image loading language.
What is the answer? Oh. Yeah, I've seen people use it for interview and practice and stuff, though, if you ask it the right things and
It's awesome.
So like what happens when you marry this with Siri? Like everyone just has a super AI in their pocket.
Siri gets a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate.
All right. I think we're good on that one, unless anyone else wants to see anything in Chat GPT.
But I could probably read some more like Android or engineering stuff in Shakespeare. That'd be great.
We'll find out
It-
your style.
So it's really good at generating like composables too. What?
You're not in the code chat platform.
Huh.
Oh, I've had it generate awesome composables before.
Well,
I'm not sure why it's refusing to right now.
I still think that like. The chat one is different than the playground one. Like I feel like the playground one's a lot more capable.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the only one I've used really.
I wanna go home and ask it if it has negative sentimentality portion of it.
Yeah. Okay, now it's
And now
doing it.
this is like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't generate code. Oh, why don't you just ask?
Yeah, now that you asked again, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did you say differently to make it generate the code?
I think it probably. It's maybe because I didn't include the word Android in the original question. I don't know. I added Android and said Android composable, but I don't know. Sometimes you have to
It's funny,
mess
and
with
it's
it a little bit to get it to give you what you
explanation was
want.
talking about